Hello, you guys, and welcome to another episode of The Creative Heart. My name is Gideon. I'm also known as Gideon's Light, and I'm your creative liquid coach. Yes, this week our creative prompt is winter. You guessed it right. We are wrapping up this small little season of dealing with the seasons as inspiration, and we did this all on one page in our art journal. So we started off with spring, and then we did summer, and last week we did autumn, and today I'm going to show you guys how to do this cute little snow filled scene, and this will bring this page to a completion. So I'm really excited to share that with you guys. But there's something else I want to share with you guys. In the month of March, I'm going to be diving deep with my Patreons, and we're going to be painting unicorns. So if you're into unicorns and you want to learn how to paint that in acrylic on a canvas, then join my Patreon page. There are links in the description below, both for my Patreon and also for my private art group, The Creative Heart, where I share a lot of beautiful moments with you guys, and we share images of our work with each other. It's a really loving, supportive community, and it's free. So do check out all the links in my description and dive in where you feel comfortable. And I'm hoping that you will join me during the month of March to paint some unicorn energy. But for now, let's get back to our little winter scene. Let's paint some snow. Alrighty guys, let me just see. There we go. My microphone was turned off in my first section, so I'll just do a voiceover for you guys. But anyway, so let's get into this painting. I'm gonna just bring my mixing bowl a little bit closer for you guys so that you can see. So what have I got here today? It's my art journal, and I just used some masking tape just to mask off these sections, and I used a pencil just to draw in this basic landscape. We are playing with a little landscape in a park, and it's a lot of fun. So let's get into it. So now we are painting winter, and what I would like to capture is that beautiful essence of snow. And it's not the easiest thing for me to paint, simply because what shall we call it? We don't see a lot of snow in South Africa, so it's not something that's very familiar to me, but I'm going to try my best here. So I'm sort of envisioning that there is a bit of snow lying on the branches here. So I'm going to just bring in my sky, and I'm just going to leave areas where I think there would be snow on the trees. And what I've mixed here is a little bit of a grey, pinkish mauve. And I'm just envisioning like a snowy morning. With snow lying here on these branches. So let's visualize that. And why this pinkish color is, I'm just imagining this is early morning, and the sky is still tainted by the light from the rising sun. So it's really early, so the color will be a little bit different to that in a midday morning. And then I've got some Payne's grey here as we go down. And again, I'm just reminding you guys, I'm not working on professional watercolor paper. This is just an ordinary art journal. So the color can look a little bit harder. Because on watercolor paper you sort of get an opportunity just to blend some of these colors, and the watercolor paper is a lot more forgiving. Right, so we're gonna just roll with it here. It's sort of difficult to visualize where all the snow would lie. Oh, my candle is a beautiful rose candle that was also a gift from a friend, and it is smelling beautiful, loving, uplifting. There we go. So that is our winter sky. I'm not going to fiddle with it too much. Right, now one of the blues that I think works really well with snow is like an ultramarine blue, because it has this violet undertone to it. So I've mixed a mixture here with a lot of water because I want it to be translucent. I don't want this to be too dark. We can always come back and add a little bit more. So I'm just imagining this bank of snow lying here next to the path. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about the snow. Hopefully, we will be able to sort of read that as snow. But you know, even though snow is white, it basically is like water. It just reflects what is above it. So, and I said I want to cover these benches. So the parts where I want to see a lot of white, I'm going to leave white and let that talk about the whitest bit of the snow lying here in heaps. Remembering that watercolor does dry a little bit lighter, I'm just going to pick up some paint while it's wet, and I think it's going to add to the texture and vibe of the snow. Right, let's rinse that. Now, this is going to be a little bit of an interesting exercise. I'm going to mix some Payne's Grey, and I'm going to mix a nice dark brown, because I want the contrast with the snow to really tell the story. Now I'm going to begin to bring in my tree, and I'm just using my sword brush here. It's made with squirrel hair, so it can really carry water. And I'm basically just doing the under underside of the branches. And I'm leaving white where I can to sort of talk a bit about snow that's lying on the branches. So carefully, sort of trying very carefully to talk about these branches with snow. So it's just loose. It's really not a serious Picasso painting. So it's a lot of visualization and a little bit of planning with your watercolor in order to make it successful. Yeah, let's let some snow heap around the base of the tree. So in a way, it's a bit of negative painting because you are painting the tree that, is there, but you're also mindful of where the snow would sit on the branches. I hope you guys enjoyed the other videos that we did so far. So if you're new to my channel, welcome here. And if you check out my channel, you will notice that there's a playlist of creative art prompts that's happening every Monday afternoon. So I want to encourage you to get into it. And the idea is to give you a prompt for the week that you can play with. I know time is precious, and a lot of you want to have a creative practice and you want to try out some different mediums, but you don't know how to start, or you sort of don't have inspiration to get going. So my prompt is really there for you guys to try something that you might not have tried before. And you can do this in any medium that you have at your house. So you can play with watercolor, or you can try this in acrylic, whatever medium calls to you, or whatever you have at hand. That is sort of how we get into this. And we try to learn something about ourselves and the medium by playing and just experimenting and having an open attitude of playfulness, experimentation. And my big question that I always pose is, what would happen if? What would happen if I tried this? What would happen if I tried that? So in that way, you learn so much about your art supplies, but you also begin to gain some brush mileage. And that is the experience of learning to trust yourself with your art materials and whatever subject you are working with for that week. So You become good at art by practicing. Practice, practice, practice. That's the only way you can become skilled. A lot of people think, you have to be talented. And, talent is an amazing gift. And if you're talented, be grateful for it. But you know what? Even talented people have to practice because they might be working at a much more advanced level. And if you're a beginner, you're only going to get better at it if you practice. Now, let's make that a bit darker. So it sort of talks about the bench, but now I'm sort of imagining snow lying on top. Me and these park benches. So they're going to be a little bit more forgiving this time because I pray because there's snow lying on it. Isn't that pretty already? Wow. Okay, now let's look at these bushes. And I just want to talk a little bit about this pathway. So there might be areas where that is showing. So let's just lighten it a little bit here and there. Remember, lifting up of color is just as an important technique as putting color down. Now these bushes in the back that we've been painting in every season will probably now just be some sticks. But there's snow lying on top of it. That's why I deliberately sort of left these bubbles of white. And I'm just dancing with the toe of my brush, not making very serious brush marks. I just want to talk a bit about this bush and the sticks that will be there, and maybe not so dark. So let's make them a bit lighter because they're in the distance. And we just want the snow to sit on top of it. This scene might go a little bit faster, actually. Okay, let's make a little bit of a darker in ultramarine blue here. As we talk a little bit about the shadow. Now, shadows underneath, okay, let's not start with the detail. Shadows here will be a little bit deeper, and on the underneath little bits of the snow. And let's talk a bit about this tree. And I'm sort of imagining that the light is over there. And this is like a bank of snow that gets a little bit plowed away in the morning. So there will be shadows. Everywhere there will be shadows. I'm just going to make the ultramarine blue a little bit deeper. And as we bring the tree shadow over the snow, definitely under the bench. Let's talk a bit about this shadow of this tree here. I mean, that already looks snowy to me, definitely. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this beautiful pink sky, and we'll see some of this reflected in the snow ever so softly. Okay, that's maybe still a bit dark. I really want it very softly. Let me just take a little bit of water out of my brush. I'm just going to hold the hilt of my brush down a little bit. Very softly talk a bit about this pink reflective moment here on the snow, capturing that morning light. And I think we can maybe add a little bit of yellow as well. So I'm going to go for lemon yellow very, 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 very softly. Have I said very softly? Very softly. Just want to open this little well and just bring some of this very light lemon yellow. Because maybe that's a lot of water. It needs to be a little bit warmer. The light coming from the side might catch some of the snow. And I think it always adds a little bit of whimsical atmosphere to the snow if we can see some warmth on the snow as well. And that will be on the opposite side of the shadows. So we're just talking a little bit about that. Awesome. I'm going to come back with this cold ultramarine blue and just talk a little bit about the shadow side of where the snow is sitting on these branches. And it's really an abstraction in the end. It's really not about a photorealistic painting. And I mean, you can do that if you're into that. But I think that is one of the things that new beginner artists tend to judge themselves by. They see artists do these amazing photo surrealistic paintings, and I really think that it is such a high standard of technique to try and uphold yourself against, that no person that doesn't have that skill or develop that skill will be able to do that. So, give yourself a break. I mean, honestly. And to me, personally, I always also ask myself, what is the point? If it brings you joy and if you find meaning and purpose in it, then absolutely, please be my guest and pursue that. But when I see photosurrealistic art, and I'm not bashing this in any way. I sometimes wonder, what's the point? Um, Besides serious technique, of course, but take a photograph and be done with it. Um, that's just my opinion. I really do think that there must be a joy and a meaningful purpose in your art making for you. And if you want to become a serialistic artist, then go for it, practice and make that your goal. But it's not for everyone. I think it is super time consuming, and yeah, it's a serious commitment that you are making um, in order to capture every blade of grass and every single hair on a animal's face. And it's amazing that people can do that. But if you're a beginner, please don't hold yourself up against such an incredibly difficult and hard standard, because it takes time and development and practice to get there. So give yourself a break and just enjoy your art and express yourself. So I'm quite happy with this. I think I'm just going to go down and make a deeper brown for the shadow side of the tree. I do love the contrast that we have. I'm even going to add a little bit of ultramarine blue to this to cool it down even a little bit more. So that we can have a nice deep shadowy self. Shadowy self, listen to me. Shadow part of the tree. And I'm gonna just playfully talk a little bit about that texture of the branches. I've said last week that watercolor can be a lot like drawing, and that's so true. I spent the day yesterday, well, not the entire day, but I spent some time in my studio just playing yesterday. And I just took random photos of roses. Now, I know roses is very hard, but it's one of the things I would like to challenge myself with. I do enjoy painting roses, and it was so much fun to try and just draw with watercolor and not necessarily draw the picture before the time. Forgive me, that was a little bit of a sneeze there. And I learned a lot, and it's all about brush mileage in the end. So regardless of the medium that you are playing with, it's always about practice. Let's make some of these bench marks a little bit darker too. But not too much, because I tend to overdo it. Of all the benches of all 4 of these seasons, I do think these ones are captured the best, especially perspective wise. Awesome. I quite love that, and I'm going to leave it as such. I really think we're just going to come back when this is dry with some jelly roll that can help me just to finish off this little watercolor painting. It definitely looks like a nice winter scene. It definitely feels snowy to me, so I'm quite happy with what we've captured here. So I'm going to let this dry and I'll be right back. I just wanted to come up close and share with you guys a close-up of each of these seasons on my page so that you can get a very nice glimpse of what it really looks like. And here's our snowy winter scene. Thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.